Good afternoon, everybody. It's just about 2:45, so I think we should go ahead and get started, given that I heard we are the last session of the afternoon, and I'm sure folks are ready for the wrap up and potentially a happy hour. So we're just gonna go ahead and so, by way of introduction, I want to give you just a quick background on who you will be hearing from and why does it even matter to you. So, first of all, I'd like to introduce my counterpart here on the right-hand side. So, this is Laurel Hans Zimmer. She is a group product manager over on Workfront, and we've been working very closely on some integrations, in particular between Workfront and Adobe Experience Manager assets. My name is Joshua Ramirez. I'm the Director of Product for Adobe Experience Manager Assets. And again, we've been working tirelessly over the last couple of months, in particular on the content that you guys are about to see. So, why is this so important? Well, we acquired a company called Workfront not too long ago. And since then, we've been busy going down this path of how do we integrate Adobe Experience Manager Assets with Workfront. And what we're here to show you today is that we do have an integration that's fit for the enterprise, as well as an integration that is fit for teams or departments or individual groups. So, with introductions out of the way, I would love to just go ahead and talk about some of the challenges that we've been seeing out there in the market and what we've been hearing from a lot of our customers. It shouldn't be any surprise that more and more businesses and teams are working remote. With the advent of the pandemic and everything, this has become kind of the norm, and folks are starting to get back into the office. But we're really still searching to figure out how do we work in a more efficient manner. And with this fully remote workforce, or even partially remote workforce, it does sort of bring up some pain points that you're seeing here, like the lack of integration between upstream creative applications as well as these downstream solutions that need to leverage all these great assets that are being produced, and being produced at a faster and faster rate and with much more numbers behind them as well. So when we look at these problems, we're really looking to solve the customer expectations for really fresh, impactful, personalized content. Again, we've talked about content velocity and explosion of assets. We're really seeing that even more so now. Creative and marketing teams and operation teams, again, with working remote, have been more distributed than ever, and we really need to make sure that all of the different organizations are literally on the same page. And again, when you start looking at this increased pace in content creation, there really are more tasks and more scheduling associated with all this. And ultimately, marketers and businesses need to understand how quickly they're able to create content and how in fact effective that ultimately may be. So with that, organizations definitely need a solution to orchestrate all of this personalized content. And so again, that's what Laurel and I have been working so tirelessly on and really working with our teams on, which is Adobe Workfront and Adobe Experience Manager assets, really looking to unify work and asset management to deliver these personalized customer experiences at scale. And we'll get into a little bit of detail on each one of these because we did talk about how we had an integration fit for enterprises as well as an integration fit for departments or smaller organizations. So with that, we really looked at these two business use cases and really focused on, asset and work management for enterprises. And again, the difference between these two are, customers who need robust digital asset management solutions. So you may hear us talk about enterprise asset management. This is really where we're looking. This is really where we're looking to support, and it's the entire marketing and overall CX organization. And this integration is between Workfront and what we typically call Adobe Experience Manager assets, which is fit for enterprise. We've recently started work and recently launched a solution for what we call asset and work management for departments and teams. And these are really for customers who need a little bit more of a lightweight asset management solution. They don't need the full on enterprise aspects of a digital asset management. And this is where we have integration between Workfront and Adobe Experience Manager Assets Essentials. This is a brand new offering. I believe we launched it just about a month ago, and we're really excited about this and hoping to get this into a lot of customers customers' hands as well. And so when we think about the two different use cases, so I want to just go through a little bit in terms of the enterprise offering and then the departmental offering, and then I'll turn it over to my partner in crime, Laurel, to give you some additional background around these integrations. So when we think about the enterprise aspect of this, there's three core workflows here that we're solving, which is really about publishing this content between Workfront and AEM assets, as well as getting the necessary approvals, and ultimately have that content back into AEM assets for delivery to all the different experiences and all the different channels that folks need to push it to. The other key aspect here is around metadata and keeping metadata in sync. Like again, when it comes to content flowing gracefully from upstream all the way to downstream, metadata is key to getting this done. And again, of course, this gets into the overall how do you integrate into workflows and keeping the keeping your enterprise running and keeping those business processes going, including the ability to auto publish assets to something like an asset share or to a brand portal. So again, when we look at this particular use case, it really is those enterprises with large quantity of assets. They have workflows that they need to integrate into, and then they have these distributed teams that will benefit from having this end-to-end asset management solution. With that, we then talk about the Adobe Experience Manager Assets Essentials integration with Workfront. And as we had said on the previous slide, this really is for departments or smaller organizations that don't need the full enterprise capabilities. There's really three use cases here as well that we're covering. One is the ability to push assets and metadata from Workfront into Assets Essentials. And you'll see a little bit of a demo of this later after Laurel goes through some additional details, but really is about keeping that metadata and that content going from Workfront into Assets Essentials. You also can link assets from Assets Essentials, so you can actually go through and select a couple of assets or even a folder. And the great thing about the folder linking is as you add content into Assets Essentials, it will actually also be shown within Workfront as well. And again, because there is the ability to make updates to these assets and ultimately push them back into Assets Essentials, there is some versioning workflows associated there, and you'll see an example of that when we get into the overall demo. So again, looking at this, it's really about the individual departments or teams, marketing organizations and smaller companies that have some asset management capabilities, but they really want to unlock the collaboration and storage between marketers and creatives and those operational folks working in Workfront as well. So with that, I will turn it over to my partner in crime, Laurel Zimmer, and she will give you a little bit more information around the admin experience between Workfront and Assets Essentials.
Fantastic. Thanks, Josh. So as Josh mentioned, I will go over a few things with regard to the admin experience tied to the Assets Essentials and Workfront integration into some of our systems. So starting out with how easy is it to deploy the Assets Essentials? So what will happen after the purchase of AEM assets is that there will be a product card that resides within the admin console in which entitlements and users and much more are managed. And within that product card, there will be the ability for an admin to assign an individuals to be able to deploy the environment. So there's some examples here with regard to what needs to be done to add the environment, and then there will be a successful message in the fact that the environment was created successfully, and then the admin can start adding users to the Assets Essentials solution. And I'll also mention really quickly that within our Adobe Experience League, we have lots of information. If you're not familiar with Experience League, perhaps we can add a link to the chat for this session. So continuing, Workfront plus Assets Essentials within the admin console. After the Assets Essentials solution is uh, configured, then there will be two different product cards that will show up. First of all, the AEM Assets Essentials product card, now that the environment has been deployed. And then the Workfront product card, I should actually correct myself. So the Workfront product card will be set up separately, but the two product cards will show up here, in which the admin can then start assigning users to the products, the solutions. And here's an example of assigning users to the Workfront product. So one of the things that has taken place since Adobe acquired Workfront is that for any net new customers currently, the Workfront instance will be set up to be Adobe IMS enabled. And Adobe IMS stands for Identity Management Services. So because of this, the users can be, again, added to the Workfront solution directly from within the admin console, so they can start using the solution immediately after it's all set up. And I should also add here that because of adding the solutions within the admin console where other entitlements are being managed, all of the ways of being able to add users to the solutions applies here as well. So whether an organization wants to manually add those users, manually remove those users, or take advantage of our Azure AD Sync way of adding users and other forms, all supported. And as far as the integration specifically between Workfront plus AEM Assets Essentials, this will also apply to AEM Assets as a cloud service in the future. So what we are providing is a simple way to set up that integration. So in this case, there's no connector required, no extra code or anything that is needed to set up the integration. It really as what is being shown here, and that is to enter a name of the AM instance, as well as the URL to the instance, and then the associated IMS org ID, which is tied to the admin console in which the entitlements are managed. And then there's also an optional section to configure metadata mapping. But the point here, again, is no connector required. There's a native integration that supports a set of capabilities tied to the integration between Workfront and AEM Assets Essentials. And going forward, we'll also support AEM Assets as a cloud service. And finally, for this section, highlight that our vision by the end of next year is to, enhance the native integration and the capabilities beyond what we have available today between Workfront and AEM Assets Essentials, and soon AEM Assets as a cloud service. And then for our customers who have AEM Assets, Adobe Managed Services, or on-premise versions of the solution, we do and will continue to have a connector made available for that integration.
Great, thanks,
All right,
Laurel.
Josh, pass it on.
Yeah, with that, I am going to show just a quick demo here. So just bear with me for 1 second as I pull it up. What you're going to see here, let me go ahead and hit the play button here. So what you're going to see here is a demo of the integration that we just spoke about between Adobe Experience Manager Essentials and Adobe Workfront. Right here, you're in Workfront, and we're working on a fall campaign here. And really, what we are trying to accomplish is, within this fall campaign, we had some assets from a previous campaign that performed fairly well. So, in this example, we're going to actually go and source some content. So when we talk about sourcing the content here, this is where we're going to be able to add a new document and choose AEM Assets Essentials. So you can see as we scroll down, I can choose AEM Assets Essentials, and you'll get this what we call an asset picker. So you can actually go through and see all of the content within the Assets Essentials instance here. So I'm going to go ahead and browse and find the spring collection, find the asset that I ultimately want to update, or at least assign a task to the creative to update. So in this particular example, I was able to import the asset into Workfront, and now I've created a task for the creative. So in this particular screen, we've now switched persona. So I am now playing the part of the creative, and in this particular example, what I will do is I can have the handy dandy Workfront panel open up in Photoshop, where I can actually see what my work list is. So when I click in here, I can get some additional details as well as see the asset that needs to be updated. So what you're, for the purposes of this demo, we've sped it up a little bit, meaning that I've already taken this asset, I've already opened it up in Photoshop, and I've made some quick changes here, right? So you can tell by the document or the asset that they're showing in the Workfront panel that it was a little bit more vibrant, feels more like spring. But again, this is a campaign for fall, and so I've made some adjustments to this to make it a little bit more of a golden looking, so it feels more like it's fall. So you can see that the leaves are a little bit more golden, and the background is a little bit more golden. So from here, the great thing is that as a creative, I was able to get all of the instructions as to what I need to update, and also get direct access to the asset. And now I can upload this directly from within the panel as well. So as you can see, it was updated. And when we come back into Workfront, you'll now see that there's an updated asset here, the Fall Collection 3.pmg. So this asset, again, from a flow perspective, originally was housed in Assets Essentials. From within Workfront, I was able to go find that asset, pull it in, add instructions, create a task, add instructions for a creative. The creative got the task directly within Photoshop using the Adobe Workfront panel, was able to easily make changes to that asset, re-upload it so that it is now a new version within Workfront. Now here within Workfront, you can go through and leverage all the power that Workfront has for review and approval. You can add commenting in annotation. You can even you can even do the full-on review and approval process. So once the review and approval process is done, I can now take this particular asset and choose to push that over to Assets Essentials, where it will then be unlocked for all of the downstream channels within Assets Essentials. So again, similar to before, I choose the asset selector as a to choose the destination where I want to put this. So again, I want to put this into the fall collection. You can see that the information is being sent over. And the key piece here too is that now that this asset has been moved over to Assets Essentials, you see the little Adobe Experience Manager Assets Essentials icon here to show that it's actually linked into Assets Essentials. So once that content is pushed over to Assets Essentials, it can now be enriched with additional metadata and then unlocked for downstream use. And it's really easy to get to Assets Essentials because again, we've integrated directly within the waffle menu of Workfront. So here I am. I clicked into Assets Essentials. I can go into my fall collection folder as expected. I can see the updated asset. And now if I want to go in and see a little bit more detail here, I can open up our detail view. The asset will load here. And over on the over here on the right side of the screen, you'll see that we have some metadata content here. So you saw the basic tab. We do have some advanced metadata, which pulls out EXIF data and a couple of other items there. We do have the great smart tagging capabilities and the ability to add your own tags, which is what you're seeing there. But most importantly here, and we talked about this in the use case of the ability to move metadata and content from Workfront into Assets Essentials, because we had done that super simple metadata mapping that Laurel walked us through. I am now able to push this to push the Workfront metadata like project name, project ID, and document ID directly over into Assets Essentials. And this becomes really powerful because now I can leverage all this metadata to search, whether that's from within Workfront or from within Assets Essentials. So with that, that is pretty much the extent of the demo for Assets Essentials within Workfront and vice versa. There's lots of additional content and a lot of additional work that we're going to be doing for this integration. Lots of additional features coming with Assets Essentials, but we really wanted to give you guys a view as to what this integration looks like. So. With that, I believe there is that comes to the end of the content. I think we can definitely have some time for Q&A, which I believe we have both Laurel and James set up to moderate this. But before we move on to that, we really want to continue this conversation. So we covered a lot of material in a very short time. I think we covered it in about 20 minutes, which I think is good. Leaves us some time if there's Q&A. But we do want to continue this conversation over on Adobe Experience League. So from there's a lot that you can do. There's a wealth of developer-focused courses and information there. You can replay all of these sessions. So if you happen to miss some of the sessions earlier, or for those that didn't make this session, hopefully you're watching this on the replay that we call out here. And then, of course, because we're continuing that conversation, you can connect with the experts that you need to connect with. So. You'll see here, there's also a little contest so you can play to win. So you just go to experienceleague.com to enter that. And in order to continue the conversation specifically around this topic around AEM assets and Workfront integration, there's a little link there too in the document over there on the right side, the adobe.ly with the shortened URL there. So with that, I believe we will potentially take some questions if there are any already in the chat pod. So I don't know if Laura, if you want to come back on camera, if there are answers that have already been answered in the chat pod, or if there are any.
Yeah, I'm just going through.
Oh, okay. Thanks for pointing that out, Ian. We'll make sure we update the URL on the final slides that get updated and uploaded to Experience League.
Yeah, and there's a question around, so it started out with, does the Workfront connector, or I would say native integration or connector, have capabilities to migrate a large number of assets from Workfront to AEM assets along with the metadata? And I believe Jeff was asking for context behind the use case.
All right. It looks like that was maybe the only question along with Ian. So if there,
Yeah.
I see we've got a handful of attendees. So we'll give it another minute or two to see if any questions pop up. If not, then we can wrap up 5 minutes early so folks can head on over to, I think, the closing remarks, which I believe is happening fairly soon here. So, well, Either way, thanks everybody for attending. Hopefully, it was helpful for you all. I know Laurel and I are very excited about this. It has been taking up a big amount of our bandwidth, but it's definitely a great step forward. And with Adobe Experience Manager and assets, Adobe Experience Manager and Adobe Workfront, I think we can ultimately start to achieve that vision that we portrayed on the second slide there. So. Um, looks like there's one other question. Let's see. Do you envision similar integrations with AEM Assets Essentials? So, short answer to that is yes. So, the goal for us is Assets Essentials will be the asset management experience for a lot of the DX solutions. So, yes, we are definitely looking at integrating Assets Essentials into other parts of our DX ecosystem.
Matthew, what are some of your requests with regard to those Adobe products you'd like to see AEM Assets Essentials integrated with?
And there was a question there too about Workfront, other planned integrations with
Got
Workfront and
it.
other Adobe.
Yeah, and I will just highlight there with regard to Workfront and Creative Cloud, we do have plugins available for Photoshop, XD, Illustrator, and InDesign, and we are looking to extend into additional Adobe Creative Cloud products. We also have an integration with AEM assets, as you all have learned today, if you didn't already know. Make sure we highlight that again. And then we are looking into other integrations with other Adobe Experience Cloud solutions, as well as Document Cloud. Hopefully that helps, Matthew.
All right. This is kind of like iMessages or Slack, where you're just sitting there waiting for the dot 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 to see if anybody else has any additional questions. Okay. Well, again, thanks everybody for attending. Please do. These slides will be uploaded and available. Please do review the content, and let's continue the conversation over on Experience Lead. Thank you, everybody, and thanks, Laurel, for doing the session with me. It's great.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, everyone.
Alrighty. Bye-bye, everyone.